We're back in back-to-back weeks as well. And this is full-time. The Dynasty Six Pack is back for here the rest of the year. And last week, we learned lessons from last year. We learned lessons from 2025, specifically about running backs, wide receivers. Today, we're going to continue that conversation with quarterbacks and tight ends. So stay with us through this jam-packed episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dynasty Six Pack. This is episode 44. I am one of your hosts, Kyle Senra, and joining me is one of my co-hosts, Jamie Perog. Jamie, how are you doing?
I love it, man. It's good to be back in the lab with the Dynasty Six Pack. It's nothing like that Dynasty grind, man. Just arguing over rankings and rookie tape, all that stuff. So keep listening.
Well, we definitely argued and debated and Dynasty Court about one of the quarterbacks that we'll be prominently talking about today. But all of this is possible because of Fantasy Six Pack. So check out the Fantasy Six Pack website, fantasysixpack.net. Founder Joe Bond creates a great product there. A lot of great articles. There's the Fantasy Six Pack Discord as well. But there's even more premium content available through the All Access membership. And you get a discount right now with the promo code F6PPods. F6PPODS. So that is the promo code F6PPods again for the not full press coverage, Fantasy Six Pack, wrong F, but the full access to the F6P All Access membership again, F6PPods is that promo code. And I just want to shout out Fantrax as well. Fantasy Six Pack does run a partnership with Fantrax. For details on that, check out fantrax.com/fantasy six pack. You know, all the dynasty baseball and fantasy baseball people swear by Fantrax. Great site for not just fantasy football, but all fantasy sports. Of course, our focus is fantasy football, specifically Dynasty. For anyone watching on YouTube, you can see the sign, Dynasty Six Pack. And actually, speaking of the YouTube, do subscribe to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. At the very least, come watch us there. And if you comment on the videos, we'll interact. And Jamie, last week we ended awarding our trade of the year. Once again, congrats to Teddy Salad. Encourage people to check out that episode last week for details on the trade. But in the YouTube comments, we did get some trades. People kind of submitted their own. This is my personal trade of the year, so I don't know if you had a chance to see them, but I can read them off if you'd like.
Yeah, let's hear them.
So we got We Are Family. That's we.r.family. Family has two E's. What a great name. But We Are Family has a great trade to send. I don't know what to rhyme with E. Oopsie. Oh, there you go. I did it eventually. My trade of the year, this is We Are Family's quote now, finally getting to it. My trade of the year, right before the deadline, sent Jalen Hurts, received Trevor Lawrence, the 204, and 27 first.
Ooh, I like that. I mean, so going from Hurts to Lawrence, it's not a huge jump currently. And then getting a 27 first on top of that. And what else?
The 204. And so in this year's 27.
Yeah, I mean, that 204 could be, the second rookie quarterback off the board. Could be running back. I've seen running backs go in that area. So I like that trade. You can even flip that 204 for a proven player. But even without the 204, I kind of like that going from Hurts to Lawrence with that just the first alone.
I'm thinking Lawrence outscored Hurts last year, right?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it doesn't seem like far-fetched.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up fantasy points per game. I can't right now. But yeah. So just from last year, you got a better probably win now quarterback in the stretch run. That being said, I still value Hurts ahead of Lawrence in Dynasty, but certainly You're getting 2 draft picks, including a coveted 27 first on top. I think that's the type of pivot off of Hurts I'd like to make. So we are a family. I think we are in agreement that was a good trade for you.
Yep. Bravo.
Rem _ 218, REM _ 218. Also, they said this trade. I personally got CMC and Derrick Henry for 128 first and 3 second round picks. Didn't specify where they were, but an assortment of 3 seconds is the quotation. So getting 2 running backs for 4 draft picks. And the best draft pick out of that is a 28 first.
So wait, he got the running backs?
Yeah, got CMC and Derrick Henry.
I mean, just getting Henry or CMC alone for that first, that's what, 3 years from now? I like that. And then you just give up 3 random seconds for Derrick Henry.
2 years from now, but we're so early in 26, that's still 3 rookie drafts to go.
Yeah. So I like that trade also. Great trade.
All right. So the viewers already some positive trades from us. But yeah, so again, head over to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube if you want to comment on anything really, but certainly comment on anything from here. Send us anything Dynasty related, any questions. We'll certainly ask you. So want to just keep sending us trades throughout the year. Well, we're already taking submissions for the 2026 trade of the year, of course. But yes, want to get to this episode topic. Well, last week, again, lessons learned from the running back wide receiver position. What do we take away from them? And really, we started with who ended up what I would say is my fantasy MVP last week, Christian McCaffrey. That's really what kicked off the episode. And we're basically going to do the same thing here because, Jamie, who is your fantasy MVP for the 2025 season?
My fantasy MVP is none other than Drake Maye. This guy was spectacular, and in Dynasty, where you got him outside of the top 10, maybe even some drafts, people had him 15th. I remember we had an episode where we talked about that. And where he finished, what was he, QB2 overall?
Yeah, points per game. There was like 3 guys tied for that second spot, but yeah, he was one of them.
That had to have been the best value in drafts, hands down, grabbing the QB 15 and have him end up being one of the best QBs in the league. Not even just off value, but finishing as one of the top guys. So right now, I don't think you can go out and buy Drake Maye. But you know what? If you listen to us last year around this time in the offseason, you already have him on your team. Because I was adamant about him being a top, I believe it was top 6 or top 7 Dynasty QB asset.
You definitely had him in the single digits. Like it wasn't QB1 because it wasn't Josh Allen, but it also wasn't starting with the 1 at all.
And even me having him as QB 7, which seems high, it just amazes me that now people are looking at him as the number 1 overall. So
at this point, no one would dare have him as low as QB 7. Like you'd be crazy to have him that low right now. So
you have to put him in the top 3, in my opinion.
Yeah,
maybe even top 2.
I agree. I don't know if I agree there, but yeah, certainly in the top 3, I think seems undeniable after how good of a season he just put up. But yes, and so yeah, where did Drake Maye come from? So where do a lot of dynasty managers and rosters get Drake Maye? You mentioned it. If you were doing startups last year, he was probably a second round pick, even in Superflex. It maybe even fell to the 3rd, but you certainly, if you nailed your first round pick and then you got Drake Maye, that was the solid foundation to build a winning championship team. Would he have fallen all the way to the 212? Like you could have gone Josh Allen, Drake Maye. I don't know if he was falling that far, but perhaps.
There was a startup draft where I believe I did get him at the end of the 3rd round.
There you go.
I can't remember who I took first round. I can double check that real quick while we're talking, but
whoever you took didn't probably score as much as Drake Maye, and that's perfectly fine with you if you're the one that got Drake Maye. But
yep.
But I mean, to get that kind of value, pretty crazy. Now, if you had Drake Maye even the year before, if this was a rookie pick, I mean, I remember seeing some rookie drafts in 2024 where, JJ McCarthy went to the Vikings, and maybe I was guilty of also doing that in the rankings, but he would fall maybe further than he definitely should have. 107s, 108s, maybe somewhere around there, like in a 2024 rookie draft, spending the 107 on what is now the QB2 or QB3 in Dynasty. That's incredible value. That's maybe even better value than his startup price last year. Imagine what if you did a startup in 2024? Imagine that value there too. So if at any point over the previous 2 years, if you had acquired Drake Maye before this season started, certainly uh, that you'd be laughing at the investment. And I guess maybe now it's too late to go and buy Drake Maye. But what any thoughts, Jamie? Did you look up that team? Did you?
Yeah, it was the 306.
Okay.
He was my first quarterback off the board.
Even in in Superflex, yeah, if you can
Yeah.
somehow navigate through those first 2 rounds and get elite Unreal assets, and then get Drake Maye, and there you go, you get the QB2. Like that was. Did you win that league?
I made it to the championship, I think, and I lost the championship.
Sorry.
Or I might have came in third. I can't remember. I'm in so many leagues.
You didn't win though, so you remembered you didn't win. Like because if you'd win, you'd have for sure said you definitely did that. So
yeah, I think I have Justin Jefferson on that team. That's kind of what screwed me over.
But I imagine that was your first round pick. Maybe not getting your first round pick as optimal as you should. Maybe makes up for the fact that like in the third round, that makes up for the fact that with Drake Maye.
Yeah, actually, he was JJ was my second round. I had Brock Bowers because it's tight end premium. JJ, Drake Maye. Yeah, well, I have
injuries, right?
Yep.
Not so much for Jefferson, but if you still made it to the championship with your first 2 round picks not hitting like they should, because your third round pick, exceeded expectations far beyond the negative.
I also have Trevor Lawrence and Jackson Dart on that team, so that kind of helped.
More late round quarterbacks, and I guess like those would be transitions to. Like, those are also good examples of last year guys that were values to acquire as you took in these startups. Like fourth, I don't even know how late you took Dart, but
Dart 11th round, man, 11th round.
Man, there's a value. 11th round startup pick, and I mean, yeah, he didn't play the full season, but the games he gave you, the output per game was pretty crazy good. So I guess it's probably too late to buy Drake Maye. I mean, we can talk about what it costs to buy him right now, but it's super expensive in Superflex. The best ways are probably pivots off other quarterbacks. Like if you've got Josh Allen and you decide, let's get younger, Drake Maye would probably be the if you had Josh Allen in particular, Jamie, and you felt like okay, compelled to sell him. I'm assuming Drake Maye is the first name you're looking for. That's the first manager you're gonna send an offer out from Josh Allen.
Yeah, if I had Josh Allen, me personally, I wouldn't need much.
So you think you can make it happen? You're just doing it to get the younger quarterback, right? Okay,
yeah,
give me a second, give me a third, even, and get it, and you're just
like they're razor thin right now. I personally might even want Drake Maye over Josh Allen. If I had the 101 in a startup draft, I would debate Drake Maye or Josh Allen.
I would imagine if your team looks like it's this team needs to rebuild, you'd probably for sure definitely put Josh Allen, like rather have Drake Maye, purposely get younger. So let's say you have Josh Allen on a team that missed the playoffs and you feel like, okay, I got to retool this, then those are the most logical managers that should be looking. Because if you've got Josh Allen and you're thinking I'm going to win now, maybe again, you're not looking to buy Drake Maye. But that's probably what it costs to get Drake Maye anyway. So like we said, if you wanted to buy him, it's probably too late, but it's not too late to try and look forward. Like who could have the same type of Drake Maye breakout that we should start targeting this year? I suppose is the kind of the question how we should focus. Who are these late round quarterbacks that we're expecting to be good in 2026?
One guy that comes to my mind is Tyler Shough. He's an older prospect. He came in the league already pretty old. He's 26 right now, going into the second season. But like some people might not even be as high on him right now, maybe outside the top 20. So I recommend go get him because at the end of the season, he did show flashes. Like he put up multiple top 12 games, also finished top 15 in a couple. And I believe he only had 3 games outside of the top 20 all season. And if you can get that QB 20 value for him, I can see a scenario where they add some weapons around him in the offseason. maybe a receiver or even a running back that can maybe get him a little bit closer downfield, score more touchdown opportunities. I just think he's a guy that's under the radar and no one's really looking at him like they should be.
Sorry, bad timing. I was trying to look up where I had him in the ranking before I drank water.
I could have kept talking a little more, but
well, I mean, I'm an example of someone who doesn't have him in the top 20. I've got him at QB 21. But that I'm wondering if that's pretty close to a consensus rank too, and to where like that, that's even cheaper than Drake Maye was last year. Let's say. Again, I don't think we're expecting Tyler Shough to be QB2 in points per game, but the same type of from where Drake Maye was to jumping up to number 2, can Tyler Shough make it even close to QB 12? I do wonder if the unfortunate thing with Shough is, are we still a couple years, like, do we still need to see it for a second full season? And then we can kind of buy in. And especially, really what might be missing is the Saints giving him a big contract, right? It might take 2 full seasons, and after his 3rd year, entering his 4th season, instead of, entering the last year of his rookie contract, that's when he gets the big extension for the Saints. We're going to commit to him. I wonder if that's the barrier. Like, until he gets that contract, he'll never be a top 12 quarterback. But it doesn't mean you can't buy him at QB 20 price and he produces, let's say, this year around QB 15 or even QB 12 in points per game. Just maybe his value takes a couple years to lag behind what his production could. Because, I mean, his, if you look at points per game, he outscored a lot of these, I don't even want to say established quarterbacks, but quarterbacks we'd value more highly because they're first rounders. Bryce Young, certainly JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Cam Ward. Like I imagine most of those quarterbacks are going to be valued higher for a lot of people than Shough will, but Shough outscored all of them last year. So
yeah, and he does have some wheels on him. I believe he had a game where he had like 50, 55 yards, another game with like 30 plus. So, I mean, there's that rushing upside. It's not always going to be there, but it's the ability of him being able to do that can give you an extra 3 to 5 points every game.
And certainly that's the appeal of Maye, right? It's the rushing floor. Because Drake Maye didn't score a lot of rushing touchdowns this year. I didn't think it's certainly not astronomical like Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. But it wasn't outside of his norm. Like he didn't score a disproportionate amount of touchdowns based on how many rushing yards he had.
Yeah, he did it. Drake Maye did it through the air. I know he was like top 5 in a lot of the productivity and efficiency ratings, passing yards of danger plays. I know he had a pretty high QBR also, maybe one of the top ones in the league for QBR. So, yeah, I mean, he can do it through the air. He can do it on the ground. That's the whole package right there.
Yeah, I'm looking. He had 450 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. It's actually I'm actually surprised that the rushing yards were that little. I knowing Drake Maye, I actually almost expected that to be more. So it's kind of it's interesting to see that we know he almost has a higher ceiling, like a higher rushing ceiling than that. So he obviously took huge steps as a passer, and that's something that maybe can sustain itself. Maybe he doesn't get 30 passing touchdowns every year, but as long as he's getting 20, if the rushing yards increase at all, then we're certainly laughing.
And he did this without a true number 1 receiver.
Which you can say the same thing about Tyler Shough. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Chris Olave, who gets disrespected a lot by a lot of people. I shouldn't have even made that joke there. But just like a big problem with the Saints, though, is they don't have. I mean, their number 2 receiver is probably worse than the Patriots' number 2 receiver, right? Like you take Olave over Stephon Diggs, but probably take Booty and Demario Douglas over whoever the Saints' number 2 receiver is right now. Devon Vele, I suppose. So in both those instances, like even Drake Maye, we might not have even seen the ceiling, but both those offenses could invest better, especially the weapons around the quarterback, and that's what helped elevate those quarterback ceilings. Certainly, Tyler Shough has room to grow there. Because, I mean, I'm looking at Shough, and I'm looking at his rushing yards, because you mentioned, he's got the wheels. I mean, he had one fewer rushing touchdown than Drake Maye. He had 3. Drake Maye had 4. So it shows that maybe it's not even the rushing yards. 186 in 11 games, 9 starts. That's not great. So I wonder if Shough actually has more the rushing touchdown ceiling to his game. He also didn't throw a lot of touchdowns, and we expect he has he only threw 10, right? 10 touchdowns and 9 starts. That's really not that great. And but it also felt like, Jamie, there were, like, especially the early starts, he wasn't throwing touchdowns, and then once he got going, then it was games with multiple touchdowns. So he certainly has, like, Shough has a lot of ceiling to go with. I mean, a 3.1% touchdown rate. That is so much room to improve. Like, we'd expect, and again, I know when I look at my touchdown projections in the offseason, career averages, right, or rookie averages, when you're trying to project rookies, I'm usually looking at rookie first round averages, because very rarely does anyone who's not a first rounder ever start as a rookie. So there's not much historical data to know, like, what we should have expected from Tyler Shough. But knowing the rookie first round average is right around 4%. It's right between 3.9 and 4% exactly. 3.1, I don't know. Like, is that basically a full percent for a full round? Is that fair? I don't know. Maybe that almost feels too much, but certainly, however way you slice it, like 3.1 touchdown rate, there's a lot of room to improve. Touchdown regression kind of indicates it's likely to go up. Maybe as high as 5% if you're thinking the 4% is the rookie average. He underproduced by a percent on expectations. Does he outproduce that by a full percent the other way? Who knows? But I think that, there's room for Shough. So I think that's actually a great answer to Drake Maye, not just because of the rushing, but like the team situational and the stepping forward. Certainly, there's a good coach there that they believe in, like with Kellen Moore. That's already established. Whereas we saw how big coaching was, even though Vrabel's a defensive guy, but the stability it brought to the whole organization. The offense was able to operate properly because they had a solid head coach in place. So at least the Saints already have that. So now you can, year 2, develop with that head coach combo of Shough and Kellen.
Yeah, some good points there. Yep.
I look to other values. I mean, Drake Maye is, again, the value of all values last year, but there were some quarterbacks that were being drafted that were starting quarterbacks, and one was a starter basically the whole season, that weren't being drafted as starters. There's ambiguity on who would start, and so some quarterbacks fell in a range where they weren't locked in as starters in terms of dynasty price. And the one I think of is Daniel Jones. Like, he was so cheap to acquire throughout the whole season because even though all the signs are pointing that he was going to start, the value price of Anthony Richardson made it so that in startups or in trade value, no one truly bought into Daniel Jones. So if anyone took the risk on Daniel Jones, you did not pay a starter's price last year. Any second round pick in the offseason might have got him. Someone saw maybe some people held on and saw the tea leaves and thought, okay, if he's a starter and he's going to be named the starter, it has to be a first round pick. But I do wonder if before the season, there were a lot of leagues where you could have acquired Daniel Jones for, say, a second round pick. And again, it's because we weren't sure he was going to start. So I suppose it's Daniel Jones that this year because of the Achilles injury, because we're not really sure if he's going to start week 1, and is that going to make his value drop?
Yeah, so I'm projecting him to at least miss the first 6 games. So right now, I think you probably still get him at a cheap price with that uncertainty. And then when he does come back, I mean, he put up some great numbers last year. Multiple games over 20 points. And I don't got the exact numbers. I know he had like a top 5 game, bunch of top 10s, top 12. So yeah, I mean, if you can get him for any second round pick, I would go do that right now. Just get him on your team.
Yeah, I think it's basically what last year's price was. I mean, it's the unfortunate because we have all of last year's history to show, especially if he's on the Colts. Okay, he can work really well with Shane Steichen in this offense and with these weapons. Fortunately, we also have the injury from last year, which that's what pulls down the price, and that's what makes him available. But it was just a 1-year contract. There's also a chance he's not back with the Colts. I know, man, I have to eat some crow because you called me out on this, Jamie. when I was talking about like Daniel Jones' value, is he a top 15 quarterback in Dynasty now because he's locked in to get that long-term contract and on the show last year, whatever it was, November even. Well, hang on, he hasn't signed it yet. Let's wait until, and then sure enough, just a couple weeks later, he ruptures his Achilles, and now that's in question. So
yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's not even 29 years old. You got to remember, he was a first-round draft pick. I think he's going to still get a shot, especially with the flashes that he's shown. So I think the Colts do re-sign him and then get some kind of like a bridge quarterback in just for those 6-7 games that he's going to be out.
Well, and I think either scenario is the name I'm about to bring up kind of fits into that. But one, did he show enough last year that multiple teams are actually interested in it? It's not just the Colts, and they might actually be bidding against other teams. And maybe he chooses, even if the offers aren't quite the same, but they're close enough, maybe he chooses just to stay with the Colts because he knows it worked really well here. What if he goes and chases the highest bidder? Like that could be a thing. But either way, if he's back and he's not starting from the start of the season, or if he leaves, does that mean Anthony Richardson has a chance to start and rejuvenate his career? Is he someone we should actually be buying right now just because the price could not be any lower?
What would you buy him for? Like a 4th-round pick?
I mean, he's not going to be that cheap, unfortunately. He's got the people who have him probably won't. I mean, the other thing too is the people who have him might be watching this situation. And if you're smart and you have Richardson, you probably want to wait until free agency. And if Daniel Jones leaves, that's the time to up the price, right? But I mean, typical backup price is a third, right? Like, and I feel you won't always get that from everyone, but I've noticed that in my experience. If you think about a quarterback's like a spot start backup, you know the starter's going to come back, but they're injured for a couple weeks. You could probably acquire that quarterback for a third. You know, when Brock Purdy got hurt last year, you probably could have got Mac Jones for a third in most leagues. I imagine, right? Maybe he went for, maybe some people were holding out for seconds, and that can always happen with those quarterbacks, especially the way he was producing really well. But that's what kind of my point, right? Is Richardson so talented that he's going to be higher than the sort of traditional backup price? Like you might have to pay a second-round pick for him. That makes it sound like that's too high for you, the way your comments.
Well, I could see a scenario. So, like, we've seen a lot from Anthony Richardson. We've seen some flashes just because of his legs. He can't throw the ball. He's not accurate.
I was saying he can throw the ball, just not accurately. He can throw that very far.
So let's say you're in your rookie draft and you have like an early 4th round, like the 401, 402. Maybe throw it out there for Anthony Richardson because you know how people love rookies. And
see, I'm thinking way higher than that, Jamie, because I'm thinking of where we were taking Jalen Milroe and Tyler Shough last year, late second.
I mean, that was late second, yeah.
And I don't think, like, is there? I mean, obviously, you take Mendoza out of it. Is there a prospect as good of a profile as Jalen Milroe this year outside of Mendoza? Like, the quarterback is so. Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to that in a couple months. That, you know what? There is a prospect that I really like that is a super high score, but I imagine a lot of people won't like him because he's small. But the idea is, if I'm sitting at the with the 210, like where I would have ranked Jalen Milroe last year, there's probably not a quarterback I'd rather just go get Richardson. I'm sure I'd rather just trust that talent than any of the quarterbacks of this year's crop. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too aggressive on Richardson, but it feels like there's a chance he starts this year. And is that enough to? Yeah, well, the way you're making it sound like maybe I don't even have to spend a second. I like the idea of spending an early third. I think that's easy because
I think you can get away with at least mid-third with Richardson.
If nothing changes and he's just a backup, I'm totally fine spending this year's 301 in a rookie draft on a guy that I think is the highest upside of any backup quarterback. I have no problem doing that whatsoever.
Because even if he does get another chance, I just don't think it's going to last that long for Richardson.
It's one of those where you get the points, you try and maximize the amount of games you get with the points, but also to quickly sell as high for a profit as possible. That's how you get it. You pair him with the second to get a first, or pair him with another asset, and like, okay, someone's buying a first to buy multiple pieces.
So there is a guy no one's talking about, And I think he's better than Anthony Richardson. And he hasn't even took a snap yet in the NFL. He's not even on a team. And this is Trinidad Chambliss.
Oh, yeah, okay, the rookie.
Am I saying this
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Chambliss. Like, if he gets any type of opportunity as a starter, this guy can actually put up big numbers with just his legs alone. But this guy, he is a mobile pocket passer. He runs a 4.45 40. He's got a great deep ball, way better than Anthony Richardson. Accurate. He could drop it like 40 plus yards with like speed and accuracy, like dropping bombs. Like 0 fumbles on 118 carries in his career. So definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on as one of those values in rookie drafts. And like I honestly, overall, right now, I would put him around QB 30 in my overall rankings, just because I believe in the talent. We're going to see what the NFL thinks of him, what team he goes to.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure that's kind of where I have Anthony Richardson in my ranking, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so like in that range, he could easily jump up into that top value with like the Drake Mays and maybe top 15, top 10.
Like Drake Maye last year, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't think we're thinking he's QB2, but where we were considering Tyler Shough this year, right? And Chambliss, if let's say he's a second round pick, that's not that different of a path than what Shough has gone through.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, I know you can get him late. I've seen some rookie mock drafts. I think I've even seen him like late second, early third. So that's right where you said you would buy Richardson. I'd rather have this Chambliss, because I believe he does have a better like passing and deep balls, and he might even be better on the ground than Richardson.
Well, I will say this, and again, this is getting to rookie profiling data, but it's fitting because talking about rookies is actually our next topic here as we switch positions. But my rookie prospect score on Chambliss is higher than what my prospect score was on Anthony Richardson.
Nice. And then I remember
Now,
Richardson
the
was
weakness,
Richardson was actually going like in the top
102 in rookie.
Yeah.
No, it was Bijan and Richardson in a lot of rookie drafts for sure. You definitely saw that happen so much. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about rookies though. This was we had one really good rookie quarterback. I guess two if you count Shough, but I was going to say Jackson Dart. But man, what a year for rookie tight ends! And if you want, our next topic is about tight end value and what it requires to be a productive tight end, like, and make a difference and actually be worth it to start. And this year coalesced with, I would argue, 4 tight ends that are rookie tight ends that were worth it as starters. That if you started them most weeks, you're probably pretty happy. And maybe some of them had dips in the season, stretches where they weren't as good. But we had 4. We specifically had 3 tight ends, rookie tight ends with double-digit fantasy points in full PPR formats. And it's funny because 2 of the 3, I think we would have predicted before the season. Right? Oh, yeah, the 2 first rounders, the 2 top 15 NFL draft picks. They were both outscored in points per game by who, Jamie?
Harold Fannin Jr.
11.7 fantasy points per game as a rookie on, sorry to your Browns, but an awful NFL team, an awful quarterback play, which I know you fully admit all the time. So, in that situation, not conducive for a rookie tight end to do well. He finished as the tight end 8 in fantasy points per game, 11.7. And because of injuries to other players, I think in total points, it actually was higher than tight end 8. But you talked up Harold Fannin the whole time, and we elevated a lot of rookie tight ends in draft boards. But where was Harold Fannin going last year? Because you talk about Drake Maye being a value startup price last year. You could contest Harold Fannin might have been the best value of 2026.
I remember in rookie drafts, I got a ton of Drake Maye, or I got a ton of Harold Fannin. Mid third would be like the earliest. I got him in the late third a lot. Sometimes when he fell to the 4th, I would just do whatever I could just to trade up to get that 4th round pick. So yeah, I mean, he had a range of values. The
He
leagues
was
that
never going in the second, barely
No,
ever.
never, never.
Maybe in a tight end premium draft. Let's say a 1 QB tight end premium rookie draft, you might see him go in the second,
Yeah,
but
like-
certainly never in the first, like a couple other guys we're about to talk about.
Yeah, people were taking Arroyo over him, and Mason Taylor and Ferguson.
Man, I talked up Terrence Ferguson so much. He didn't even score half of Fannon's points. I think Ferguson had about 5 points per game, 5.5, not even half of what Fannin produced.
However,
Yeah,
I do think Ferguson is a good value to go out and buy right now. I think you can get him super cheap. People are
because of how disappointing he did relative to expectations and how many of these other rookies produced. And
I mean, just because he didn't have the opportunity like Harold Fannin did. Harold Fannin was getting, there was games where Harold Fannin had 35% of the target shares. That's crazy.
And
even on a bad team.
There were some crazy productive games where David Njoku played. So I know Njoku got hurt at a point in the season, but the story should not be, oh, Fannin just took advantage of when Njoku got hurt. They were prioritizing putting Fannin on the field at the same time as Njoku. And their roles really, I mean, was there a lot of the season where they just basically Harold Fannin operated as the Browns slot receiver? Is that fair to say? Like, it seemed like that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, he even had carries in the backfield at times.
Which we're seeing more and more with tight ends.
And then now Harold Fannin, it just came out, I think today or yesterday, that he is not going to be on the Browns anymore. I do expect the Browns to go get another tight end somewhere, but it's not going to be as big as talent like Harold Fannin. This guy is a beast, and he has to be valued right now somewhere in the top 7, 8 tight ends in Dynasty, in my opinion.
Well, it's funny because we talked about last year. I think we all had a really clear top 5 in tight end Dynasty, and I think one episode we debated who's the tight end 6. And did you say Fannin?
I might have.
I'm pretty sure you did. So we know like the hype was there, and I mean, if you listen to Jamie, that paid off. I think I've come along because I remember the guy I talked up was Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, I'll take Fannin over Kincaid. Yeah,
and like right now I have Oronde Gadsden like right by Harold Fannin in that like top 7 area.
Well, I've got 4 rookies from last year, all in the top 12.
Nice.
And Fannin certainly one of them. I've got Fannin at tight end 6, by the way. So yeah, definitely like that. I mean, I guess it's a new coaching staff, right? So like the way Stefanski used him was incredible. Is the new coaching staff? I don't know. We're going to talk about coaching changes too eventually, but Fannin was like the value of all values. I guess what were the signs of like what made him a good prospect to you to where it was if he fell to the 3rd round, it was a no-brainer pick for you?
I mean, just the way he played. He has that rushing ability, and his route running was awesome. He's got speed. He's got hands. He can score touchdowns. So just put all that together, and I liked him over guys like Arroyo, Mason Taylor. I did have Ferguson above him, and I think we're going to see
that. 9.3 RAS. Like I can never ignore that. Yeah. I know you love the RAS scores too. And Fannin's wasn't as outstanding. I think part of it was, he ran really well. It was like his speed scores were great, but I think it was smaller frame. So the weight adjusted speed scores, those didn't look as good. But like the flat speed scores, like those were incredible. But I think the reason the RAS score was maybe I think it was like in the 7.7 or 7.8, something like that. Where it wasn't quite to where, like, I think Mason Taylor was like an 8 point. I don't even remember. I might be just making up the decimal here, but like 8.5. Like, Fannin was kind of a bit of a tier behind Ferguson and Taylor. And I know that's what certainly made the difference for me. But if you look at college production, Fannin definitely outscored those other guys, right? So, and I've been someone that's production is so there's so little tight end production that the athleticism and the traits are going to be more likely than the production. Now I'm wondering if I need to start focusing more on tight end production, if that's what kind of, because to be fair, you look at Warren, certainly, I mean, the production was there. I think Loveland, the same thing as last year. So those rookies that did great this year, maybe the production is more important than what I've been saying before. So that's something that maybe is going to change my process.
And I remember saying that Fannin has hands stickier than Velcro because he only dropped 2 passes in his whole college career.
And especially the last year, how often he was targeted, how many receptions is kind of crazy.
And then I remember telling his mom when I met her that this dude is a route running assassin. Like, he is going to kill it.
Like she didn't know, but yeah. Yeah. And Harold Fannin's mom was at the Fantasy Football Expo. So, I mean, Joe Bond was there, our founder and creator of Fantasy Six Pack. So a lot of people did get to meet Harold Fannin's mom. So I mean, that still didn't raise his price that much. So yeah, he was definitely a value. So I guess if there's productive college tight ends that fall to the 3rd round in rookie drafts, you just snatch them up.
Yep. And there's going to be
you're probably better off.
We'll talk about later.
However many wide receivers go, if you're still drafting wide receivers in the 3rd round, you're probably better off just taking a tight end that you believe in, especially if they're productive. And that's really the takeaway there. Because again, these rookies at Skate, they were such values in rookie drafts. At least certainly Harold Fannin was. Now, would you characterize Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland as values in rookie drafts? Let's say they were mostly back-end first-round picks, maybe even mid-first-round picks, depending on where they went. They didn't outscore Harold Fannin. Tyler Warren was the tight end 10 in points per game, PPR-wise, 11.1 fantasy points per game. Colston Loveland finishes the tight end 16, 10.3 fantasy points per game, but above that double-digit threshold in average per game.
But you definitely have to look at that as a value, because look at the 1 or 2 tight ends that are going to be this year, and they're going right around that same area. Maybe like the 109, 110, Stowers and Sadiq. I can't put them in my top 10 right now. Like maybe Sadiq would be around 8 or 9, but with Loveland and Warren, even in the rookie drafts, we had them ranked 1 or 2 or like 2 or 3 overall, right? Maybe top 4.
I mean,
I had Warren that high.
Okay, I was more on the running backs. Like I was more willing to take shots at the running backs. Like I guess maybe I'm. When I said back end first round picks, maybe I was too much into my own rankings. I will say I was saying in Superflex, especially non tight end premium, I was going to take Jackson Dart ahead of either tight end. I definitely remember being on record that. So that's why I viewed but the big mistake is I was taking like RJ Harvey, or at least I was ranking RJ Harvey and Henderson and Judkins ahead of Jackson Dart too. So I kind of viewed Loveland and Warren as like the 110, 111. And to be fair, I didn't draft any of them in rookie drafts. So I guess they were going earlier than the 110, 111. So you might be right. Like I think, it wouldn't have been shocking, especially in tight end premium, to see Tyler Warren go up there where Genty, Hampton, Ward were going as a top 5 pick. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
But now I'm wondering, is that not a value? Are they weren't busts, but they basically like performed where they should have. So basically what my argument was going to be. And maybe that's the lesson here with Warren, as great as he did. We expected him, we view him as a much better prospect than what these two are coming up. And you're saying they're basically going in the same range as Warren last year. We feel like that was the right spot for Warren, but anyone that's a lesser talent, that'd be too early. So I guess my quick lean here is the first round tight ends in rookie drafts. Maybe those aren't the answer. Maybe like that's not giving you big bang for your buck, like bonus for your, like you take them and you're not necessarily profiting as much as say if you would have drafted Harold Fannin and even traded him or even have kept him at this point. Like the points value you're getting, that's still great. So I guess I've been someone who hasn't loved drafting rookie tight ends in first rounds of rookie drafts. And again, I'm going to, maybe these guys, if they get first round capital, I'll probably still rank them in the first round, but they'll be 110, 111, 112, the back end. If there's any quarterback that goes in the first round, I know Ty Simpson's prospect score isn't great, but if he's a first round quarterback, I'm probably taking him over either tight end.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So and to be honest, like I'm looking of, like it was 2 years ago. No, I guess now it's 3 years ago, but that rookie class, the Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta rookie draft, Man, people were hyping up so many guys, and the best tight end to come out of that, I mean, Laporta, sure, and he would have probably been the second or third tight end to go. Second round pick in rookie drafts. Like, I remember seeing a lot in the second round pick. Tucker Kraft has ended up being one of the best of that draft, and he was regularly a fourth round pick. Sometimes I even picked him up as an undrafted
free agency. In some leagues. Yes. So, yeah, he was my guy. Yep.
So, and that's where we've had the biggest bang for our buck. So it hasn't been these first round tight ends like Warren and Loveland. And maybe, I mean, and right now, like Jamie, like you said it, as soon as Warren was a top 15 draft pick, heck, even before the NFL draft, you were saying Tyler Warren is a top 3 tight end in Dynasty. Do you still hold that?
Yeah, I got him and Loveland back to back, like right there. There's no difference between them in my eyes at 3 and 4.
I put Laporta right up there with them, but to me, 3, 4, 5 is those three. In my
I got Kraft at 5. I mean, that may be
ACL. That's the only thing right now is just the torn ACL. He probably should be higher based on what he just did, but I'm just a little hesitant on what he's going to be coming off, especially since speed is such a big part of his game. What he does after the catch, I am concerned with Kraft. Again, these healthier younger guys that maybe didn't produce as much as him, I do like going there, but I'll just say, like, Warren hasn't really changed much. He was a top 5 dynasty tight end before the season started, and he's still there now. So if you bought him before the season and you sold him now, you're not really profiting much. Whereas, again, Fannin, so taking those rookie draft pick shots later than not the first rounders, but so to the point of this year, Stowers and Sadiq might not be the best tight ends to draft in rookie drafts. Like don't draft someone ahead of them, but don't be drafting them in the first round. Wait till the third round and get those guys. And I know you love taking late round shots at tight ends. And I mean, Fannin was one for you there. You also had another.
Yes. Oronde Gadsden. He's my most owned dynasty tight end. I think 17 shares. I had 18, sold one for a first round.
That's right. I remember we talked about that on the show.
Yeah.
Right in the after a spike week, right? He had one of his best games of his career of the season, probably.
Yeah, sold him for a first round pick this year. I don't know exactly where that pick ended up. And actually, looking back, I probably might even rather have Gadsden over that first round pick that I sold him for. So I'm glad I only sold him one share.
I suppose you could always trade that first round pick for, like, as opposed to making the pick, and you might not like the rookie you select there. So maybe that specific pick you're aggressively trying to shop it for the best player you can get.
Yeah. So let's say it was the 110 and I do grab Sadiq. I mean, Gadsden and Sadiq are pretty much back to back in my rankings right now. So I'd rather have Gadsden, who showed it. We don't know where Sadiq's gonna be going. We don't know his draft capital yet.
We don't know his quarterback. Whereas Gadsden gets Justin Herbert, so at least like that's a good positive in spite of the lack of draft capital. But as soon as he got on the field, they clearly showed him as the top tight end. So draft capital be damned, he's the lead tight end for the Chargers and tied to Justin Herbert like that. That's a big positive. So even if Sadiq goes in the first round, but he goes to the first round without a great quarterback, that's Gadsden being tied to Herbert's probably still going to win.
Yeah, and that just shows you go out and get these tight ends, stash them on your taxi squad, get them in the fourth round, off waivers, instead of getting the running backs or the wide receivers that aren't going to really turn into anything. Because these tight ends, they take a year or two to develop sometimes, but then you got people like Gadsden and like Kraft that just blow up, and then you can get a top 10 value for them a couple years later. So yeah, don't sleep on
my timing with this water bottle is horrible. I keep going for drinks every time. I feel like, okay, he's going on a good point. No, okay, sorry, my bad. But it did make me think.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, just again, with Gadsden, like, hey, we got the good quarterback we're tied to. I guess with any of these rookies, even if I guess the first round still matters, and we should still rank them accordingly. But again, maybe you're early in drafts. You are focusing more on wide receiver and running back in the first round. And I would wonder, like, outside the second round, you should never draft a wide receiver. You should never spend a 3rd or 4th round rookie pick on a rookie wide receiver. Because, okay, yes, we had Puka Nacua.
That's it.
Name me others, right? Like for all these years doing this, like so few of those receivers that hit ever come out of the 3rd or 4th round. So at that point, you should be just loading up on as many backup running backs and as many tight ends as you can. I definitely agree with that sentiment. Now, rookies aren't the only value tight ends that exist, and there were some veteran values too. Just wanted to briefly touch on before the end of this episode. But before to do that, I just wanted to set up what tight end scoring was last year. And I guess the big question of what do you need to actually matter? And what is good enough? Like, what does that look like? Trey McBride scored 18.6 fantasy points per game. It just smashed anyone else. If you didn't have McBride or weren't playing against McBride, it was almost a different arena for tight ends. There was a 3.9 point per game difference between McBride and the tight end too. It's funny because Bowers, Kittle, and Kraft all basically scored equal at 14.7 fantasy points per game. So you had a 3.9 point per game gap between McBride and that trio from 2 through 4. After those guys, it's another drop, 2.3 points from those guys, essentially tight end 4 through tight end 5, which was Kyle Pitts in points per game. Then you have a ton of tight ends grouped together. Tight end 5 through tight end 19, it's a 2.7 point per game difference going from 14 tight ends, whereas that 2.3 difference is what made the difference of the top, 2, 3, 4 through 5. So that's 2.3 points. Again, the gap between 5 and 19, that's 14 tight ends in there, all within a 2.7 point per game pace. So essentially that gap that represented 5 through 19 is essentially the same gap that represented 4 through 5. So you had a lot of tight ends in that mix between, again, Pitts was at 12.4 points per game. Zach Ertz was at 9.1 points per game at tight end 19. 9.7 points per game at tight end 19. Then you had Gadsden at 8.8. Now, Gadsden also maybe gets hurt a little bit with some games early where he was active but not doing anything. So maybe his true points per game is actually higher than that 8.8. But that is that's tight end 20 right there. So you really wanted a top 20 tight end because anything less than Gadsden probably wasn't worth it for the lineup. Some of those tight ends in there might have been expensive to acquire. I want to talk about two that were on championship winning teams that I had. And these were the top tight ends. You know one of them, Jamie, because you traded me one of them. The first guy I want to talk about, though, is Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz had 10.5 points per game this year. Finished as tight end 14. He was valued a lot lower than tight end 14 coming into the season. He's probably still a top 20 tight end price, but I mean, if you
lower, I'm thinking outside the top 30.
I don't think he probably would have been top 30, but he might not. You're right. He might not have been a top 20 tight end, but he was. I ranked him certainly highly, and I thought he was definitely worth it. If he was enough of a difference maker again at that double-digit points per game, it was one of those things where late in the season, Kraft, Kittle, and Bowers all got hurt. So you had that not the McBride tier, but that next second tier that by the end of the season almost got erased, or at least for big stretches of the season didn't exist. Suddenly, the next best guy after McBride was Pitts at 12.4 points per game. Schultz is less than 2 points per game away from that. So Schultz to Pitts really wasn't that. I mean, and really, Pitts had that one monster spike week to up his average, but on a week-to-week basis, Schultz and Pitts were basically about the same. So he really didn't get much difference. Like Pitts had a great season, but him being the tight end 5, it really wasn't that much of a difference than what you got from tight end 14. Certainly might have, I guess, maybe Pitts before the breakout was cheap enough to acquire. But Dalton Schultz was someone that I went and traded for in season. It was a weird trade. I gave up a first to get Sam Darnold, Dalton Schultz, and a second-round pick. So I gave up what ended up being the 112 to get 3 different assets. I needed a quarterback to help replace Brock Purdy, and I think at that point I had Flacco, and then that was when he got replaced as the starter. And or I think at that point Burrow was back. I think he had gone to the Bengals, so I didn't have that second QB suddenly. So I needed to trade for a second QB in Darnold. I didn't quite have a tight end I really felt comfortable in, and I traded for Schultz. And those two things really helped me win games to get me in the playoffs, and certainly with Schultz as my number 1 tight end, helped me win in the playoffs. So
And
What,
Schultz, like he had, I think he was number 3 in receptions total. And what really stuck out is his receiving yards. He was like a top 5, top 6, but his yards after the catch, he was incredible. Like almost half of his total yards were from after the catch.
It's what we expect from like George Kittle or Kraft, these hyper athletic guys. And he's obviously an elite athlete. He plays in the NFL, but he's not quite the true top tier speed of tight end that we see in like Kittle and Kraft. He's not quite that archetype, but again, you're not paying for that archetype necessarily. Again, it would have been so cheap to acquire. So, I mean, heck, even after this season, has Schultz really gone up in price to where you can't just buy him now anyway, and it's still you're still profiting on the points?
I think he went down in price in Dynasty. People are just
Crazy.
ignoring him because like he's about to be 30. I mean, that means he still's got a few good years left. I know his touchdowns weren't spectacular. He only had a few, but there's positive regression. You never know. Maybe
I'll just say
people are out on Stroud, but there's a possibility he could bounce back.
Yeah, for sure. And again, to the point of, okay, if you weren't playing against McBride, Schultz was good enough to kind of match up against any other tight end you might have faced late in the year. So to that point, again, especially in non-tight end premium, and yeah, these PPR scores I gave here was just flat PPR, no tight end premium. And I guess that's the point. In tight end premium leagues, you do want to invest more. But in non-tight end premium leagues, again, I won a championship with Dalton Schultz as my tight end one. And the other team was Darren Waller. So thank you, Jamie. We did this trade. We did this trade on the show. So people got to see this live as we made this trade. I gave up what turned out to be the 312 for Darren Waller. After I originally offered you, I think it was Brad Harvin's 4th. So that would have been the 404. So literally your counterback moved you up 4 picks, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it helped you win a championship. I think I got knocked out of the playoffs in the first, maybe second round. I can't remember. So if anyone won, I'm glad it was you with Darren Waller on your team.
Well, I was gonna say, and it's funny because I remember I did not get the first round bye, so I had to play in the quarterfinals. It's very possible I knocked you out of the playoffs. Oh no, I didn't. No, Keely did. Okay, I see.
I'll get my revenge next year.
Yeah, never mind. Okay, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. But yeah, no. But yeah, all to say, yeah, Waller. I mean, and he wasn't. I mean, like I think I didn't even have him in like week 16, 17, but he helped me win that semifinal. And the weeks he was active, I mean, he scored 9.9 fantasy points per game. So just at that cusp of double digits, and that was again that would have been enough. So I've always kind of thought this in non-tight end premium leagues. I know most people think, oh, the last thing you get is running backs. Like you build every other piece and you get your running backs. I actually don't think that's the case. I think quarterbacks and wide receivers are still the foundation, but I would rather, if I'm still rebuilding, I'd still rather invest in running backs more than tight ends. I really do feel like tight end is the last piece. And maybe you do that by constantly taking shots in rookie drafts, and that way maybe your team is now ready to compete. Maybe one of those rookie picks you took a couple of years ago, that tight end's finally ready to emerge. Or, okay, now it's my time to go. Now I go and trade. And in my case, I did that. I waited good. At that point, I think when I made the trade, I clinched a playoff spot, and it was really okay. Can I get that first round buy, or what will help me in the playoffs? I'll send a third to get Darren Waller, thinking that's the cheapest way to get a tight end that would have been better than I think I had Evan Ingram in my lineup before that. So I feel like that's the last touch you can make. But as long as you're getting double-digit points, I'm willing to spend a third on that and be second, more, even higher if it's a more longer-term value player. But like a guy like Waller, like he might do nothing for me in 2026 even. And I'll still feel like, well, that third I gave up during the 2025 season was worth it.
Yeah, like a guy you can go out maybe for a third, try to get a Hunter Henry if you're competing.
Yep.
He could be your Darren Waller this year.
He was been so undervalued last year, and we've seen 2 years with Drake May really likes to target him. So yeah, Hunter Henry's a great pick, Jamie. If you want to expand on him more.
Or I went out and got Kate Otten, I believe, for a third, and he might have helped me like a couple games here and there. Help me get to the championship.
Especially because the injuries this year, right? Like there's very rarely a point where all the receivers were healthy. So maybe by the fantasy playoffs that wasn't as great, but certainly in the middle point there was. I mean, that happened last year, right? Like Godwin and Evans got hurt in 2024, and Otten was definitely startable at points too as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Anyone else that you could think of off the top of your head that would be a good value for people? Maybe like a Juwan Johnson.
you see, I think, yeah, did he do too well last year that he won't be a value anymore? But maybe not. Maybe he's because he's in the older side. Maybe it's just like Dalton Schultz. Even though they had good seasons, they were good buys to have last year, and they had great seasons, and it was worth it. And you paid off the buy that you got, and they're still undervalued, so you can still buy them again. So yeah, I would. Jaron Johnson actually maybe makes the most sense out of these players to go buy because he might be truly the team's number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah. Another one, Brenton Strange, real quick. Depends on where people value him. Maybe you can get him cheap. He's still young. A guy someone completely ignoring is Ben Sinnott. Totally forgotten.
Yes.
He's not even in people's top 30, and he's only 23. And he's a very young talent. And I remember we thought highly of him as one of those like late second round picks in the rookie drafts. And he just hasn't had the opportunity yet, but I believe he is going to get the opportunity. Who's in front of him? Nobody, really. Like, who's John Bates? I don't even know who John Bates is.
He's a tight end for the Washington Commanders.
But yeah. No one really knows
they
him.
like John Bates. They've given him contract extensions. They really like him for pass protection and blocking.
Yeah, that's not going to help you in fantasy.
A chain mover, featured part of the offense. Like, you want to help unlock Jaden Daniels, give him talented weapons like Ben Sinnott. So yeah. I actually view Jamie Ben Sinnott. He's right next to Terrence Ferguson in my rankings. I kind of view them similar.
I've seen him outside the top 30, and I'm like, that's ridiculous because he should be, if with opportunity, maybe in the top 15. So that could
I've got Sinnott at 22, which to be fair felt high. So I can understand why people have him outside the top 30 because that was my first. You're going through the rankings of 2026. That was kind of my first thought inclination. But I do think, potential top 20 season there for him, or at least in terms of that value. So Sinnott's a great buy. Ferguson's a good buy after his disappointing rookie season. Maybe Mason Taylor's even a good buy. Like those guys that really disappointed, they're naturally good buys. But even, like you said, Hunter Henry and Dalton Schultz had great seasons, and it feels like their dynasty value still isn't matching the production. So they're still good buys at this point. So again, you've got young tight ends you could buy. And again, we're probably going to get values in rookie drafts. And there's still the old veteran tight ends. So the tight end value definitely exists. If you don't have Bowers or McBride, don't be overspending to get tight end 3. Like if I don't have Bowers and McBride, the one thing I don't want to do is pay tight end 3 prices for Tyler Ward or Loveland or whoever that's going to be. Like I'd rather go get Gadsden for cheaper, or again, even dig even deeper, and okay, I'll just go get a veteran, right? So I think McBride, Bowers is one thing, and if you have them, you're building your team through them. But if you don't have them, I think the way to contend is to just have as many assets to the rest of your position. Okay, if you're facing the Trey McBride team, you want to outscore them at running back, you want to outscore them at wide receiver, you want to outscore them at quarterback, except that they're going to outscore you at tight end. But if I outscore them at the other 3 positions, then you'll win, right? But I think it might still be worth it to go buy Bowers and McBride, but you're paying so expensive that what's the alternative? I don't think it's to pay slightly less to get Warren and Loveland. I think it's to go even cheaper and again try and accumulate value at other positions.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Jamie?
It's been an awesome show. Tune in next week also, and just like stay sharp and let's play the long game.
Absolutely, and we'll be here for the long run. Just episode 44 at this point, but we plan to be here again for the rest of the year, basically weekly, all throughout this NFL offseason, and of course the NFL season. I mean, the Super Bowl just ended. I'm already looking forward to September for the next NFL season. We want points to be scored again, but no, it's time to build rosters, accumulate values, and before you know, we'll be talking rookie drafts and all sorts of. We'll follow the typical dynasty calendar. For now, we're still taking lessons away from this 2025 season that technically just ended a few days ago, and how can we move forward with them? So I think we've done great here, evaluating all 4 of the main positions in dynasty over these past 2 episodes, Jamie. So good job for us, and shorter episodes than normal. We're just getting over an hour.
Yep. And one last word is don't get caught sleeping on value. That's our whole episode that we had.
I don't even know what to say better than that, other than subscribe to us, rate and review, like the podcast. Head to YouTube, leave some comments. We'll interact with you. I guess there's a lot to say. But our promo code F6P Pods for the discount on the All Access membership. And again, check out the Fantrax partnership we have with Fantasy Six Pack. Fantrax.com/Fantasy Six Pack. So, on behalf of Jamie, I'm Kyle Senra, and we're saying goodbye for now. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Dynasty Six Pack.